Evening all, and welcome to episode 98 of Kerbalism. Now, we start this episode off by bringing Jeb, Bill and Bob back home from our orbital station safely down to the ground. And the reason I'm bringing them back home is because there's going to be a few changes. Recently, I switched over from using my version of the Kerbalism default config to the classic one, mainly because some of the other mods that I have installed allow you to create fuel a lot easier than the way Kerbalism does, and it just seemed like you'd be going around an awful lot to get liquid fuel and oxidizer with Kerbalism compared to what you would do for lithium or argon. So I decided to switch to the classic one to get rid of that so everything became even again. However, I've never really been happy with that change. The series is called Kerbalism, and basically switching to classic strips out 90% of what Kerbalism does. So I decided to switch back to the default profile, or at least a slightly modified version of it. I am going to get rid of the fuel system, the way it does that, so that when you right click on an ISRU, you simply can create liquid fuel and oxidizer or monopropellant or whatever you need to do with it. That's, it can do all that stuff there. However, Kerbalism gives you a little thing called a chemical plant, and this can be modified to have any different sort of thing that Kerbalism did before. So you can still break down water into hydrogen or oxygen, and you could still do liquid fuel that way if you wanted to. But the reason I've done these changes is because if I'm going to go to other worlds, I need to be getting oxygen on those worlds. That's the main thing. Also, bringing in the default profile again means that I need nitrogen for my Kerbals. They need water as well, and a few other things. And having the chemical plants have the ability to do that means that I can send my ships off. They could land somewhere. They could mine ore and turn that into fuel as normal, which is fine. But also, they could mine water and use the chemical plants to convert them around. So it brings the whole life support part of Kerbalism back again, and makes it much more Kerbalism rather than just Kerbal with default life support, which there are many life support things out there. Some of them are complicated, some of them aren't. Snacks is probably one of my favourite ones because it's just literally give Kerbals food and that's it, really. But that's what Kerbalism, the classic version of Kerbalism, basically does. You have food and oxygen, and that's it. But there's no way to make oxygen, or no way to refine oxygen from water. So yeah, so we made that change back to do with that. I have also got rid of a few parts that I just thought were completely redundant because I had so many parts in there that it was just getting overwhelming. So, and in doing so, I've actually managed to completely destroy the station that was up there. I had a part on there that I've deleted, and now the station's gone. So I've put the station back up there again. It is a little bit different. You see, it uses the same design. It's got slightly different arms here because the ones I had I no longer have actually installed. So yeah, we've got the service container and the shanty habitation modules on the end for Kerbals to live. It still follows the same basics of food, and now water goes up here and liquid fuel and oxidizer goes down there. It's got a slightly different engine on there because I updated near future, and that gave me some new engines, which I'm quite happy with. The main change is obviously we have solar panels on top. Still got the reactors down the bottom, but I've just put solar panels there, and I've got it pointing towards the sun. So yeah. The main thing I changed was I dropped the Mark IV stuff because although it really looks like Thunderbird 2 and I love it a lot, it looks brilliant, I built quite a few craft with it and could never get them to fly properly, so I just too many parts, so I've thinned them out, and this is what we've come to. Obviously the biggest change is we now have nitrogen, oxygen and ammonia here. Had to do slight configs changes to these spherical tanks because and apparently with Kerbalism, only the radial tanks that Kerbalism has can support oxygen or nitrogen or anything like that, so did a slight change to allow those spherical tanks to do it as well. Also noticed a weird bug with these spherical tanks. This large one with the large neck is the only one where you can't change the texture on it. All the other ones can, but that's not important. But yeah, this is the new station. It's pretty much the same as the other one, just slightly different. It doesn't have the delta V to get to Duna with this design, so I would have to add probably more of these on the back of it. I think I might just do that. I might just add a couple new things. If I activate that, it doesn't give me my thrust to weight ratio, but yeah, it's not good enough here, so I think another couple of fuel tanks are there. As I said, I did cheat this up into orbit. It was just put on the launch pad and cheated straight up here like it is, so it's a little bit cheaty, but I no longer have the mining platform here because, again, parts that were on that I got rid of, and yeah. So I'm going to launch the mining platform up again. A slightly different design of that as well, so that hopefully it can get to Minmus and back. I'm toying with the idea of having a cut down version of this station at Minmus as well, and then have a tug going backwards and forwards between the Minmus station and here, and then mining for fuel at Minmus or the moon. I'm not too sure which one's the best to go for. Minmus is easier, but takes a lot more fuel to get back and forward. But yeah, I might use an electric propulsion craft for that. I'm not too sure with that one, but that's the idea. I'm going to try and get some fueling going. I'm going to, obviously, Dres is coming up in 91 days, so we'll launch for that. And then Duna is on the horizon. So I will build a mining platform and a tiny station, and see you when I decide to go to the moon or Minmus. So I decided in the end to go for Minmus. It's got much lower gravity, so it's a lot easier to land on, and that way I won't kill my Kerbals. Not this has got any Kerbals on it because it's completely automated. Not only did I decide to go to Minmus, but I thought, let's do it in one launch. This is 1,500 tons worth of refinery station in one go to get to Minmus, and I'll tell you something, I was really surprised it actually worked. I will be honest with you, the first time I actually launched it, I didn't put any launch clamps on it, and the second it touched the launch pad, it exploded. So, yeah. So second time around, I put some launch clamps on it, and it worked fine. So, yeah, we'll pretend that didn't happen. And, yeah, we go off to Minmus. Once we got to Minmus, it was a simple case of undocking my tug and putting those 4 large spherical fuel tanks exactly where they need to be, which was not as easy as it seems because I'm still not sure whether construction ports can be attached to standard docking ports. I decided to arrange them in a way where the construction ports will be with each other and the standard docking ports will be with each other, which means that the 2nd and 4th tanks I had to actually detach from the station and just leave floating for a while before I could get to the docking port that I needed to do. Which is fine until you tap them and they start spinning. But it wasn't too much of a problem, and only took sort of about 45 minutes or so, and the station was assembled. So, with the refinery safely in orbit, all that's left to do is bring up a mining platform so we can harvest some of Minmus's wonderful minty ice cream. And finally, all the pieces are assembled. So, the station may not look like much, but well, it's got 2 big fuel tanks, 2 giant ore tanks, and an ISRU to convert the ore to fuel. So, that's all it needs to be. Oh, and a nuclear reactor, or 4. So, what I need to do is actually go down to Minmus and mine some stuff. Now, this here obviously may look a little bit weird, but I've got these extendable docking ports to the side of it, and the idea is to land down next to each other, pretty close, because Minmus has got quite low gravity. I'm going to drop this one off, land this one next to it, and then I can extend the docking ports, and they should be able to marry up together. So that'll work, and it can then fill up the ore containers. They can come up to orbit, this can be done to here, and then I can build another vessel down there and send it up to pick the fuel up and send it home again. That's the idea. I do need to, however, fill up this tank here, because I don't think I've got enough to actually land on Minmus, although it's only about 200 meters a second, I think, so I probably have, but I'd rather have way too much than not enough. So, where to land on Minmus? Let's see here. Let's bring up that one there, and we want water. No, we don't. We don't want water. We want ore. That's the one. Plenty around the equator. Excellent. Some right there as well. Right below us, I think that's where I'm going to go. Right down to the greater flats, because if I can be on the flats, that would be absolutely fantastic. Okay, so let's I will go around another orbit. I think I'm not going to do it right away because that'll lead to problems. But all seems to be everywhere on Minmus, other than up in the highlands. I do need to check Do Not Out for water though, because we're going to need that, and don't really know if it's got water or not. Turn that off. We're going to land down here in the dark. Okay, so here we go. Undock. So the plan, as I said, is quite simple. Put the landing gear. This is going to come down, settle this one on the ground, hopefully, and then disconnect. Wait, what? Oh, so I'm an idiot. Okay, let's pretend that didn't happen and redock ourselves. Oh, put away and go back again, and then we'll put the fuel in the correct tank. This is of course extremely heavy, this craft, so would you be so kind as to point at the target? We'll bounce away a little bit and then go forward again. Yes, so I can put the tank, the fuel in the correct tank, and then we can try this again. Right, hopefully with a bit more success. I must have got confused as to what tank I was putting things in and out of there. Oh. Right, so pretending that last thing didn't just happen, we will, as I said, go down to the surface. We probably overshot our mark. No, we haven't been miles away yet. And we'll go down, we'll drop this end off, probably land because it's quite light. Drop this end off, detach, land next to it, put these two dock together, get the drills going, get everything working, it's fine. These have both got the tiny nuclear reactors in them. The drills need 15 electric charge a second. The reactor can produce 60. So flat out, we're all good. At least that's the idea. Okay, so as a side note, Christmas is a wonderful time and I love it completely, but why do people always want to come around and say hello when you're busy doing something? Always seems to be the way. When you're not busy, no one appears, but when you are, when you're trying to, for instance, record a bit of Kerbal Space Program, the world and his wife wants to come say hello. Anyway, yes, let's deploy this drill, shall we? So I want to end up about here, and want to land somewhere down there, I think. Something like that. I think it's going to be ideal. I am quite surprised that these aero spikes, they are unbelievably powerful when it comes to Minmus or the moon or something. Two of those can, with this completely full of ore, lift this part of the craft up. Obviously not that one, that one's going down and staying down there. But I think it probably couldn't lift it with that being full, but without it, then, or if that was full and these were empty, this could bring it back up again, so if we ever need to. But yeah, right, so let's fast forward time before somebody else rings my doorbell, and we'll fire engines are slow down there. I was a little bit worried that the engines were going to set a fire to these radiators, but provided they're not out, they seem to be okay. So all is good in that department. I did just notice that yeah, I thought so. I'm not sure what does that. The manoeuvre nodes change themselves every now and then. I don't know if it's MechJev doing it or something, but I've noticed it a few times whilst I was piloting that the refinery up here. That I was halfway through burning a node and all of a sudden it reset back to full power. So yeah, gotta watch out for that one. Okay, so we are 40 meters up. I have had a play with the textures to try and get rid of these lines and cause more of them. I think it's just the way the HD textures work. Oh, we bounced. Yeah, so I decided to sort of embrace the lininess and install the HD textures on everything, really. Yeah, those legs bounce a lot. We are wibbly wobbling all over the place. Come on. There we go. Right. Okay, so we will undock from this here. Decouple those, switch to that. Fire engines up. Oh, stop, off. Right. Control from here. We are going to crash. Retract that radio, please. Right. This was upside down. What the hell happened there? Luckily Minmus isn't too harsh for this, so all we've done so far is lose a radiator. Don't know if I can get this back up onto its legs though. Oh dear, and we lost a leg, or we lost a leg. Oh, that causes a problem. Come on, RCS, you can do it. No, you can't. Oh, and we lost an engine as well. Okay, this is a complete bust. I told you something would go terribly wrong. Okay, so this is wrecked now. Okay, so we'll leave that there. We'll leave that completely there because I can always send another one up anyway. The most important thing is that this is here. I don't think I can lower it on its legs. Core is overheating. Yes, your core would be overheating. That doesn't surprise me. There we go. Right. And I think I dropped the core to 50%. It needs to be on about 55, I think it is. Okay. Start the reactor. There we go. Right. So we deploy our 2 drills. And we start the ore extraction process. Like so. Okay, now is our electricity, it's holding steady. That's absolutely fine. That's exactly what we want. Because as I said, I think they use 15 electric charge a second. So yeah, and that's going to fill up this wonderful pub here. And then that can't do anything about it because for some reason I guess I put the probe in upside down or something. I don't know. See here. Control from here. No, the probe is in the correct way, I think. Yeah, the probe's in the correct way. I guess when I detached it, it decided to control from this node here. So I clicked up and everything went terribly, terribly wrong. Okay, so yeah, if you had both engines still, it might have been salvageable, because I might have been able to at least get it next to it to fill it up. But it's only got one engine now, so that's absolutely no use to anyone. So we're going to have to send another one of these up, as well as a craft to actually transfer the fuel from one side to the other. I think that's what we're going to have to do here. So that's filling up nice and slowly. It's not going to be a quick process, but yeah. But anyway, so what's that? 50% success rate? And considering the last episode before, we had 3 deaths and 3 crashes, was it? I think I lost 3 craft on re-entry, well, on re-entry, on landing, and yeah. So well, that's a lot better. And so we launch a new craft. This one has another miner on it and also a fuel tanker, so that once we get the fuel at the station, we can actually bring it back to Kerbal. And here we are on approach with our big fat tanker coming into the Minmus refinery. I do also want to drop this off because we are pretty much above the target now. So let's fire our engines up and bring that down. This wobbles a bit. I'm not sure if it's just because there's 2 engines on it, or if it's just odd with the way it does things, but it wobbles a fair amount. But at least this time it's pointing the right direction when it does stuff. So right, so you can descend. We want to switch back over to here, and we want to dock with this target. Okay, that looks good to me. In you go. Oh, bounced off. The magnet's strong enough. Ooh, I think they are. I think they are. Yes, there we go. So our tanker is docked. It could grab the fuel from here, what little there is of it, and could take it back. But obviously that's not the important part right now. It's our probe. Need to rename these things. So let's do that now. Let's open this up and rename this vessel to Minmus Miner, and it can be a lander. Okay, so close that, and Minmus Refinery, and what's down here? Miner and crashed blowy uppiness. You can pretty much hover with these engines. I'm not sure whether it's that one or the other one, the cause overheating. I'm not sure how the mining process works when you're actually not here. I don't know if it carries on or if it doesn't. I'm not. Oh, I'm not entirely sure about how it works at all. But I want to travel that way if you don't mind. And there we go. Right, so I do need to get closer for these docking ports to work, obviously, but that's not really the important part here. The important part is how we're doing. We have got 651 ore, and that is probably because we're overheating our core. Why are we overheating the core? Well, it's technically been 9 days since we last came here. That, I reckon, should be a lot more filled up than that. So I'm guessing it doesn't mine whilst I'm not here, which is a little annoying, but doable, I suppose. Not really sure. Let's speed up time a bit here and see. Yeah, see, that's ticking up a lot more than it would do. So yeah, it obviously doesn't mind whilst I'm not in the vicinity. So okay. Then it's a little annoying, but well, not really worried about it too much, to be honest with you. So let's take off and hopefully use our RCS to move us over there. There is something, I remember a few episodes ago I mentioned something called the Translatron from MechJeb, and that apparently can do hover modes and stuff for you, so that could be quite an interesting thing to have a look at. But I don't know how it works, and I really don't want to crash this for the minute. That way. Come on. So all I need to do is get it somewhat close to next door. Doesn't have to be perfect. Because when you extend these, obviously they sort of reach out to try and find the other port, which is really quite nifty. And I should have probably put the docking ports on the opposite way to where the radiators are, but oh well. Okay, we'll do a bit of a bounce there. I think we need to get closer than that. Let's deploy that one, shall we, and see how far it goes. It does have a reach, but it's not. Not that far. Okay, that'll do, drop it down there. Boom, turn the ISS off, turn that off, switch over to that one. And then, in theory, if I extend that one... oh, it crashed into each other. Okay, that's a little unexpected, but okay. Okay, right, so right, try that now. They sort of reach for each other. I don't want them to dock whilst I've got the engine running on this. That's probably the biggest issue that I have here. Because if they do that, then going to cause problems. And they do bash into each other, so I've got to be very, very careful of how close I actually get them. But it's a learning process. Let's say that much. Right, switch to that one. Deploy that. Switch to this one. Deploy that. And hopefully, yes, there we go. That's what we need to do. So they've got to be very, very close to each other. But that's absolutely fine. That's not an issue whatsoever. Yeah. Okay, so all I've got to do now is wait for this to fill up. I've got 60 odd days before I need to actually do anything, so that's probably not going to be an issue. It's just going to take a lot longer than I expected. I didn't go with 4 drills, so I thought 2 were going to be enough. Kinda wish I'd have gone with 4 now. Yeah. But it could just be because obviously it doesn't do anything whilst I'm not here. So yeah, I will let this fill up. I will obviously take it back there. We'll take it back to Kerbal. Take the fuel back to Kerbal once it's been processed. And I suppose next episode will be Dres and Duna, because next one's 99 and after that is 100, and I want to be at Duna for 100. So yes, it's all going to happen very soon. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope to see you again next time. And until then, as always, have fun.